Hello, I'm Richard Raffan. This is the 10th of the Four Ways videos, and this month Mike Peace, Sam Angelo, Tomislav Tomašić and myself are going to make a tray, and it gives you a chance to see 4 different ways of approaching the same project. So I encourage you to watch the other videos the others have made, and you'll find the links below. So my blank is this piece of ash. You can see a little bit of a figure on it, just 9 inches diameter, 23 centimeters. Now, to give you an idea of where I'm going with this, a tray needs to be flat to start with, and you need to be able to lift it. So I've either got to have a side which comes up like that, or I tend to favour that kind of shape. So my tray is going to be broadly that kind of shape. I will be using an expanding collet inside, which is not something I like doing. I prefer to grip if I possibly can, rather than expand inside a recess. And I will keep a central mass here, just so it's more comfortable for the turning part. Up the yep, that's about all we need to go with at the moment. So the main thing with the tray is that it needs to be flat, because it's going to hold things, and if the things are heavy, should we say pot of tea, bottle of wine, I don't know, marbles, whatever you might put in a tray, you need to be able to lift it up fairly easily. So you need somewhere to get your fingers underneath while it's still flat, and so you can lift it, keeping the surface horizontal rather than kind of tipped around. So I don't need all this screw on the screw chuck. And the blank already has a hole in it. Going a bit fast. And as usual, I will start by truing it up using 1/2-inch spindle gouge. This is getting very near the end of its life. Just felt a little lump coming off, which must have been the bark. Yes. So the first thing to do really is to get rid of any evidence of that bark. It's quite very dry, this wood, and a bit harder than I was expecting. Don't go racing off the other end, because that'll splinter the rim. They come in on the other side. And I just use the right wing just to true up the rim. So I know how much clean material I've got to play with. Now, next is to get the bottom flat. This board was plain, so there's not much to come off. Come up in speed a bit, and I'm running at 1200. I just want this very slightly dished at this stage. I'm going to do that with a slightly radiused 1-inch square end scraper. It's a flat surface, so needs to be pitched down very slightly so that the angle between the surface I'm cutting and the top of the blade is less than 90 degrees. What they call a negative rake. You don't need a negative rake tool to get the negative rake. So that's very slightly concave. Next thing is to lay out the diameter for the chuck, and I'm going to be using a 170mm diameter chuck, which is 85 is the middle, so there's the center. 170. Oh, maybe that's a bit bigger than I need. I'll go down to my other chuck. Which is around 6 inches will do it. Yeah. And the reason I'm going to pick this diameter is because I'm just going to have too small amount of wood for the jaws to expand into. I'll just get this outside done next. I'm going to keep the whole depth of this, so it'll be quite a deep tray, and I just need somewhere to get my fingers under. So probably don't need much more than that. Now I could do with a steeper bevel so I can get round a little bit tighter in there. So it's a 3/8 deep fluted bowl gouge. Oh, lovely surface. Cut very nicely. So coming across the bottom, I need a recess in there, and I'm going to do that with it's a 1/2 inch skew chisel, using it as a negative rake scraper, I suppose, just on its side, and I'm using it mostly so that I can cut in underneath, just dovetail it slightly. Rock it back and forth. I'm not going to have it very deep. It's only going to be around 1/8 of an inch deep. Just a few millimeters, and pays to check that that is flat. If this groove, the recess in here isn't flat, either you'll have space behind the jaws, which means I can't hollow so deeply from the other side, or it's not going to grip to the full depth I've cut. And at the moment it's tilted that way, inwards, so I can take a little bit more out of here. And coming across the bottom, just blend that or make it more decorative, but I want to keep the bulk here because when I come to hollow, take it down to this area will be about 1/8 of an inch thick. It'll be very noisy, and it's less noisy if I have a mass in the center. So that gets sanded. Blue is 240 grit and some 320. This is going to get straight beeswax. Here's the finish. Sock already impregnated with beeswax. So that gets melted in. And the surplus comes off into the cloth. Right, slightly cleaner sock. So this chuck is 150mm, which is 6 inches, more or less. It's pretty flat on the top. Next thing is to drill a depth hole. Now I'm going to hollow this with the 1/2 inch spindle guard to start with. Going down to going down within sight of the hole, at the bottom of the hole. I could be doing this with the bowl gouge. So the rest is coming up slightly because I'm now going to do most of this with the scraper. The scraper is slightly radiused, so I can't get both corners in on the flat surface at once. If you haven't got a big one, you could use a 3/4 inch. And bigger is not always better. I know it's difficult to believe, but so. At this stage, it's really useful to have the multi straight edge. So this one's made out of a bit of plywood. So get the middle bit flat first. Just feel a slight lump there. I'm almost down to the level where I can use my broken down ruler, which is my other straight edge. And the advantage of the metal is that I can hold it firmly there, and I can see a very slight burnish mark just there, which is where it's slightly proud. Now it's all very well having it flat. Is it thin enough in the bottom? And I've got the jaws are open enough that this back jaw will go in, which is the important bit. Right, so that is, people want to know, that is 6 millimeters, which is, that's in 20ths of an inch, 6 millimeters. So that can go down a bit. Right, that noise signifies we're down to about 1/8 of an inch. Seems to have a very slight, slight dip in the middle. So in this case, I'm just using because there's a slight radius, I can use one corner or the other, but generally try and keep the cut just in the middle where the dust is pressure against the wood, just the sort of pressure you have if you rub your hand under a hot air dry. That's the kind of pressure you need here. Right, now time to do the rim. Again, 1/2 inch spindle gouge. And this has got quite a long nose on it. It's probably about 35 degrees. This at least 1/8 of an inch. In case I ever have anything really heavy on the tray. Unlikely to be heavy enough to need a really thick wall, but that just needs to come down. I can feel it needs to come down. So it is. Still quite thick. And I can even risk a little bit more. Take this little bit away. Two reasons for that. One is that when you're cutting down with the gouge like that, if you have a lump of timber at the bottom, you can have a catch when the right wing meets the mass. So take the mass away. The other point I have here is that I like to have a small groove at the bottom of the wall at the edge of the kind of working surface, and that will make sanding a lot easier because I can sand into the groove and right to the edge the other side. Side at the end. That feels okay. Reduce the height just a little bit here. Chamfer it out a bit. Yep, that feels okay. Need to take a bit out towards the outer part. Often the sense of touch will tell you what's happening, and then the ruler just confirms it. Yeah, a little bit more right out to the edge, and then we're just about done. So I've lost my groove at the end there. So it's going to be flat on the bottom, and I sand that with a block. I'll find it. I've got a cork block here. I normally use a more hardwood one, but that will have to do. And just see if there's any picked up grain on there. Otherwise I'm going to have to get at it with something like 120 grit. That sounds right. Right, 180 will be fine on that. A fresher bit would be better. So you can see that if you haven't got it flat, you could do this with a 120 grit or 60 grit, and you get there eventually. This is working very nicely. So 240 grit, and the 320, that's not going to take off a huge amount of the surface, so I can just do that by hand without the block. Good. Dust out. And the beeswax. Giving quite a small piece now. Just got smaller. So get it melting on the outside where the speed's fastest, and then you can kind of drift that into the centre, melting as you go. There we are, another tray. Now please don't forget to have a look at the other videos, and you'll find the links at the top of the video.